Hi, Michael. How are you?
Good, Josh, yourself?
Yeah, great, thank you. And really excited to be able to talk to you this film as a Brit who obviously big fan of Robbie Williams. And my wife and I actually went to see him in 2017 for his heavy entertainment show. And something that really struck me about this film is you really capture the feel of one of his concerts. So how challenging was that for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're fortunate in that a lot of that concert footage is us throwing concerts with Robbie, and then we would just take over the stage. We did that at Royal Albert Hall. We did that at for the Take That concerts. So there is a real energy to those crowds. Um, and and I sort of, again, even with Knebworth, where there's 125,000 people, that first 2,000 people are all in camera. So again, for the actors when they're playing in front of those sort of crowds, when the Take That Boys are up on stage with a stadium full of people cheering and screaming, it doesn't take much acting to look like you're a young band who's just starting out and having fame for the first time, and you know, you've got adrenaline dripping from your ears because there's all these people screaming for you. I mean, the actors had the time of their lives shooting those sequences, and they literally were. It was like, Rob would stand on stage and he would say, "Look, we're doing this for my film, and I want you to all go crazy when the boys come up, as if it's me up here, age 16." And he would go off stage, and the boys would come up on the hydraulics, and the crowd would just go, "Wah!" And I mean, it was fantastic. So yeah, it was a big part of that of what you're talking to really was about getting real audiences.
That's amazing. And you're telling this story about the rise of a pop star, an iconic pop star. And of course, then there's all the addiction and mental health issues that came with that rise. So to have Robbie on hand and to share those insights with you while you were making the film, that must have been hugely beneficial for you as a director, I'm guessing.
Yeah, look, having Rob sort of be so supportive of the film, but also, the things you mentioned, they're quite dark moments in Rob's life. So I was just really grateful that he would be so open to us sharing, what are quite raw and often, unfavorable moments on screen. And, again, I think that is a big power of the film is that you don't feel like you're getting the sanitized version of Robbie's life.
Absolutely. And of course, it goes without saying that the monkey has really captured people's hearts. But for you as a filmmaker, when it came to tackling, the motion capture and then obviously the post-production visual effects to make that character someone we could forget, was a monkey while we're watching, which I think is one of the coolest things people have said after seeing it. How difficult was that for you coming onto this movie?
I mean, I was really fortunate. My background's in animation and visual effects, so that
Yeah.
was actually one aspect I really was confident with. Also, teaming up with Weta, like Weta, we were sort of trading off three films from Planet of the Apes, which, if you look at them progressively from a technical point of view, get more and more photorealistic, more and more subtle in their performances. So I just think we were really fortunate to have a team that had a background in executing. Well, at least realistic uh, apes, and then taking all that and applying it to our version of an ape. Um, and we're much more human than the Planet of the Apes monkeys, but uh, but we also, obviously we got to evolve it another step. And I think in that evolution and the passion that the artists at Weta put into this, I just couldn't be more proud of. I think the work they did is mind-blowingly good.
Yeah, I agree. As I said, it's amazing as you're watching the film where the ape just becomes
Yeah.
Robbie, just such a fantastic crossover. And of course, that Rock, good example of that is the Rock DJ scene on Regent Street, which I know went viral. It's just blowing people's minds. I've read you had something like 400 extras to make that happen over 4 nights, but
500.
five,
Yeah,
wow.
500 dances. Yeah, it was 500 dances.
What about that process and shooting that really stuck with you? Because I imagine it must have been an intense process.
It was an intense process because if any one of the nights we didn't get what we needed, we that was it. Meaning it's a continuous shot. So if any one night we didn't make our shot, then the entire number was for nothing. So yeah, it was a very high pressure shoot. We unfortunately we got delayed because of the death of the Queen.
Yeah.
So, by the time we ended up on Regent Street to actually shoot that, it meant that we delayed the delivery of the film. So it was a very, very expensive musical number to pull off, um, you know, because of the delays. Um, but every time I watch it, I just go, it was just worth it. It was an absolute career highlight to be standing on Regent Street in the middle of London with 500 people in front of you dancing and singing. It was just electric.
Yeah, well, the result on screen, I think, speaks for itself. And another one like that, the Knebworth Festival that you mentioned, I think is a really jaw-dropping sequence, particularly when we see Robbie, battling the different incarnations of himself from the past. There's obviously a lot of meaning to that, but at the same time, it's a really well choreographed action scene of sorts. So to put that together, what was that process like for you?
Yeah, it was a lot. I mean, we did a lot of, I sort of look at choreography. There's a reason it's called fight choreography. So whether we're choreographing a dance number, a fight sequence, or the camera, because the choreography of the camera plays a huge part in storytelling. And I look at people like Bob Fosse who've just like mastered the art of choreography when it comes to camera work. And a sequence like that, it's a lot of storyboarding. It's a lot of getting in and doing fight choreography and cutting those together. So, sort of like sketching, and you just sketch it out time and time again until there's a flow to it, until there's a meaning to it in terms of, who he's confronting at what moments. I often would talk about that, I wanted it to feel like a one person and that there's a wave crashing in on him, There's sort of an idea that there's an ocean of people out in front of him and he's jumping into it and he's battling himself, but the waves keep crashing in. And so it sort of has that feel to it. Um, and then obviously, the final moment is him confronting himself, and
Yeah.
um, and so he sort of has this mirror moment where he's staring at, a version of himself, and yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot of work, and we looked at references, of different films and different fight sequences, and we sort of were like, we wanted to again make it unique to this moment. And fatigue is something that I thought was really beautifully done in a film like Queen Margot or Lorena Margot. It's a French film, and again, I wanted to make sure that by the end of it, there was an exhaustion to that battle.
Well, yeah, you did a terrific job with that and the entire film, Michael. I'd love to talk to you more, but we've got to wrap. It's been such a pleasure speaking to you because, as I said, this
Josh,
was, yeah, one of my films, the best film of last year, I think. So it's been a real honor speaking to you. Thank you.
cheers, man. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Great meeting you, Michael. Thanks so much.
Likewise. See you, bud.